Hey, welcome back, my beauty babes. I'm so excited to be bringing you guys this banger video. This is going to be a bomb glitter cut crease. I'm going to be starting off with the brows using my Morphe Micro Professional Brow Pencil in the shade Java. As you guys can tell, my model already has naturally full brows, so I'm just going to be going into the sparse areas to kind of define the arch of her brow and just to fill in those gaps. Y'all, I have been using this brow pencil on myself and my clients ever since I discovered it some months ago. I definitely live by it. They have a great shade range and they are only $5. Like, you truly cannot beat that. It's bomb. They last a great while and they're dual-sided. They come with the spoolie on one side and the fine tip brow pencil on the other. Again, I'm not going to be filling in too much just because her brows are naturally beautiful. So then I'm going to go in with my Tarte Shape Tape. I believe I used the shade 37G. Shape Tape is just so good, y'all. Like, it's so good. Shape Tape is definitely one of my favorite concealers right now. However, I would not recommend it for people with drier skin just because it is a matte finish concealer. For the brows, it's fine because you do not want more of a dewy or glossier look under the brow bone. But for your skin, I would not recommend it if you have drier skin. So as you can see, I'm just going to be taking my time and carving out that brow just to make sure I get the perfect shape. I did want to leave the majority of this video in real time so you guys can see how long it takes me to do each step. Once I come to the second brow, I will speed it up a bit, but this part is in regular speed just so you guys can see that I literally take my time to perfect the brows. It's the most important step to me. Before you guys ask about this brush, it is a Morphe brush. I cannot remember exactly what number. I will hopefully remember to put it in the description box, but it came a little bit fluffier. I just shaped it myself, actually. I customized it myself to get it how flat and to the shape that I wanted it to be. Okay, so once I felt like I was happy with the shape of the brow, I went in with a fluffier brush. This is just one of the crayon case brushes, just to kind of pack in and blend out that concealer. And as you can see, I'm bringing it down towards the lid, so this can be our primer. Y'all, she was smiling so much throughout this video, and it just made me so happy looking back at it. Like, I seriously wanted to leave every moment in the video because she just seemed so happy. But I was like, Connor, don't do it, okay? Don't do it. But y'all, my cousin is so beautiful. Y'all, stop trying to act like I'm the only one who look back at my younger family members and be like, wow, like, you're really growing up. You're really growing into a beautiful young lady, and be low-key in your feelings. Like, I know I'm not the only one. I just get so emotional when I see that they growing up. Okay, so back to the video. So, I'm just going to be carving out the top of her brow as well. Same brush, same concealer. Again, I'm going to do this side regular speed, and then once I get to the other brow, I'm going to speed it up just so the video is not too long. Once I feel like I've gotten the shape of the brow that I wanted, I'm going to go in with that fluffy brush again just to blend out that concealer. I did want you guys to see how I blend the center of the brows just to get more of a gradient effect by using whatever's left over on the brush to blend out the inner portions of her brows. Once I'm done blending everything out, you'll see me go in with a clear brow gel and a clear lash glue to help her natural brow stay in place. And then we're going to go ahead and hop into our eyeshadow. The palette of choice today is the Juvia's Place Warrior palette. I chose this palette because it has a lot of neutrals and browns in it, and I knew that I wanted to go in with some glitters. So to keep her kind of subtle as far as color, but popping with glitter, I'm just going to go in with that medium brown shade. If you have the palette, you'll know that it's in the top row in the middle. Not sure what the name of it is. Again, when it comes to the brushes, I'll leave them down in the description box so you guys can check it out to grab up your brushes. As you can see, I'm blending her in by tapping. I'm not doing any type of circular motions or dragging or tugging. I'm just tapping that color in so that way I can make sure I get the color payoff that I want. And I left this in real time because I wanted you guys to see just how many times I actually tap back and forth into the palette, you know, making sure that I build up to the color payoff that I want. As you guys can see, I kept that brown shade right above her crease, just above her crease, so that way when she opens her eyes, you can still see the darkest tone. But I didn't want to take the eyeshadow up too far underneath her brow bone. I did go ahead and speed up the process of the second eye just because we've already done it one time and I don't want the video to be too long. I know some people are okay with long videos, but people be complaining, y'all. People be complaining. Now that I'm finished blending in that medium brown shade in her upper crease, I'm going to go in with that orangey shade. I believe is the one that's in the center, the very middle of the palette. And I'm going to soften up her edges with that tone. It's a nice orangey kind of brown, just to make it a little bit softer around the edges. As you can see, I am doing smaller circular motions just because at this point our base is not as wet. So it will not move around and create more of a muddy effect as it would have if I would have went straight in doing circular motions with that darker brown. So at this point, you're okay to do your circular motions. It's a nice blending method, but you just don't want to go right in doing the circular motions, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to blend those two shades together to create, more of a one gradient effect instead of a circle of brown and then an outline of a lighter brown. We want to just kind of make those two seamless. As you can see, once you add that second tone, we've clearly went up higher on the lid. So that is why when you do your initial color, you want to keep it as low as you can while still being able to see it once her eyes are open, because once you add on and build up those colors, you're going to go higher and higher up underneath your brow bone. And again, we want to restrict ourselves from being right up underneath there. So we're going to go ahead and blend out that orangey brown shade on this side, and we'll go right into the next step. One thing that I have learned about blending is that it's all about going back and forth in. So at this point, I'm going to go back in with that initial brush that I applied the first brown tone with, and I'm just going to further blend those two colors together before dipping into a darker brown, using that same brush to just deepen and darken up her crease a little bit further. So this is me here adding in that darker brown. It may not look like much of a difference to you guys on the camera, but it definitely does make a huge difference. So we're going to deepen up that crease just a little bit more before we go ahead and cut her crease. As you guys can see, I'm not afraid to switch those brushes out so that way I can go back and forth in as I feel is needed. I might need to strengthen up one tone, add a little bit of that tone. It's all about taking your time to build up to the blend that you want. Okay, y'all, so forgive me, but this is the actual part where I'm adding in that deeper brown tone so that way I can darken up her crease. And as you can see, it fits perfectly well right in with the other two tones that I have already blended out. I just love when she smiles because she smiles with her eyes. But in this part, you're going to see me using my Inglot AMC gel liner. And this is in the more gold tone, so that way I can cut her crease. I did do the lookup method on her because, again, she don't really have a huge amount of lid space. So I just wanted to make sure that I cut perfectly in a way that when she does open her eyes, we don't get much transfer. So the lookup method is where you add a little bit of the product to the bottom half of the lid and you make your client look up. It'll mark exactly where you should cut, but I typically go a little bit over where that mark is. So this is the same flat brush that I use to carve out her brows. Y'all, I use these brushes for everything because I customize them to perfection. You can use regular concealer to cut your crease. The only reason why I use this gel liner is because I knew that I was going to be going in with glitter. Whenever you're working with glitter, this AMC liner is going to take your glitter to the next level. Do you hear me, sis? The next level. It's going to automatically give your glitter a nice like glow and shine. It is perfect for the glittery looks. Not sure if you guys can tell, but when doing your cut creases, it's best to kind of stamp where you want to cut at versus sliding or moving the brush directly over where you want it to cut at. You'll get a more precise cut by simply stamping where you want to cut. I'm just dragging that product down. So you will see me stamping at the top where I want it to be, and then you'll see me dragging the product down further over her lid. Honestly, if you want a more precise cut, you just have to really take your time. So I kind of left a lot of this part in so you guys can see that I try to be very meticulous during this part because don't nobody want no weak cut crease, okay? Now that I have fully cut her crease, I'm going to go ahead and take a clean, kind of fluffy brush just to pack in some of that product because you do not want it to be too thick and caked up on top of the lid. You want to just kind of smooth some of that out. And also, you don't want the product to be too wet either. You kind of want it a nice in between wet and dry, so like a tackier feeling. Now that I've gotten that base to the perfect consistency, I'm going to go in with my pigments and my glitters. This first one that I'm using now is actually a pigment, and it is by J. LaRue. I'm going to be leaving the info in the description box, so make sure you guys check it out. We're going to go in first with this really fine glitter. That's why they call it a pigment. And we're just going to build that up in the inner portion of her eye. During this process, I'm going to use 3 different glitters. So this first one was a pigment, and now I'm going to be going in with a regular size glitter. And I'm just going to be covering up the remainder portion of her eyelid that has that base on it. This is also a glitter by J. LaRue. Again, I'll be leaving the names and the links in the description box. So this is more of a silvery glitter, I believe. And as you can see, I'm kind of stamping that glitter in so that way I can make sure it's really pressed in. That's why we wanted to use this type of base, because it acts as a glue. So I don't add any additional glitter or lash glue. That base is tacky enough to grab hold of that glitter. Now that we've pressed in that fine glitter, we're going to go in with a little bit of a lash glue, and we're just going to place it over small parts of the eyelid so that way we can add our chunky glitter. This is going to create some dimension. Whenever you see those bomb, glistening and shining eye looks, it's because they use different glitters to create more of a third dimension glitter. This glitter actually did not come from J. LaRue Cosmetics. It actually came from the Beauty Bar. So I'll make sure I leave the link for this one as well. Now, because this is a chunkier glitter, I'm just going to use my finger to make sure I really press that down. So that way we don't have any pieces lifting or anything like that, because this is an eyelid. And then I'm going to go in with a smaller detail brush so that way I can add that deeper brown back in the outer corner and a little bit over that cut crease. And voila, there's one eye, and now there's two eyes. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump into the wing liner. I did forget this time to leave a empty spot in between the glitter and the lash line for the liner, but it's okay. It is a little bit more difficult to draw over the glitter, so usually I would leave a space open, but I forgot this time. In this video, I am using the e.l.f. Matte Black Liquid Liner. However, I typically would use the NYX Matte Black Liner. It just works so much better to me. It doesn't smudge or anything like that, but this one did get the job done as well. So when doing my wings, I simply draw a line over the top of the eye first, and then I go in at the under part of the wing and connect it. It'll look kind of like a triangle once you do it, and then you just fill in that space. And that is your cat eye. I went ahead and did the other wing liner, and I'm not going to show it in the video, but I did go in with some concealer just to clean up and sharpen up that wing liner. As you can see, she is feeling herself, honey. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So now we're going to go into the foundation. The camera did cut off. I'm glad she noticed it because I didn't. But the foundation of choice today was the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation. I will again leave the tones and everything in the description box below. But her skin is a little bit on the drier side. So I prepped her skin with the First Aid Beauty Primer, which is a hydrating and repair cream. It is amazing for drier skin. And I also went in with a little bit of the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. And that is to help smoothen and blur out any texture that she may have in her skin. So this brush that I'm using is a Real Techniques brush. It's a buffing brush. I typically would use one of the Instapop cheap brushes. They are absolutely everything. However, today I chose to use the buffing brush, no specific reason. So I just paint that foundation on and I go ahead and pat it in using my brush. When it comes to picking a foundation shade, I typically look at my client's neck or chest area and I make sure I perfect the undertone. When it comes to the actual shade, I typically do it a little bit darker just because I do like to highlight in a lighter tone, if that makes sense. So a darker foundation, just a little bit darker, and then I choose a concealer that is a little bit lighter. So that way it evens out, it brightens, and it just gives the perfect complexion. I went ahead and buffed everything out nicely, and then I went in with a smaller blending brush. That way I can blend in those smaller areas near her brows, near her nose, and everything like that to make sure I smooth everything out nicely. So now that I have blended everything out, I'm going to go in under her eyes and then the highest points of her face with some concealer. As you can see, I did go in with a tone that is a bit lighter, and this is so we can create more of a brighter highlight. And we're just going to paint that on first. And I believe I used the same brush that I painted her foundation on with. I'm not too sure. This is actually the Shape Tape, and I believe this is 37G. What I did was I mixed it with the last small amount of foundation that I had. So that way we can make sure we got the perfect undertone and everything for her skin. Y'all, she's so silly right here. She was laughing because she was like, I was about to say, I look good already. You could just leave it like that. I was like, girl, you so silly. She do look good though, y'all. But this is actually a Juvia's Place brush. It is so good, you guys, because it has like a point to it. So it's perfect for blending out the concealer, especially by your eyes in that inner corner. It just fits perfectly in that inner corner by your eyes. After I made sure to properly blend out the concealer under her eyes, I took my Real Techniques beauty sponge. It was a little bit damp, and I tapped into my translucent powder. This powder is by Luscious by Lynn. It is her matte finish powder. It is everything. As you can see, I just tapped a little bit in to set underneath her eyes first before I lightly bake. You guys, this powder is everything. Like, it literally disappears. It literally melts into the skin, and like, it's be gone. It's gone. Like, you can't even see it anymore. It's so good. Watch how the powder just disappears, you guys. I promise you, it's so good. The proper name for it is the No Shine. That's what it's called, the No Shine translucent powder. It is so good. It's an upcoming Black-owned business, and it's a truly good product. The packaging is everything. It's finely milled. It is the perfect powder, you guys. Check it out. As you can see, I set first with a thin layer of powder, and now I'm going to go in to bake a little bit by adding a little bit more over the skin. So for this part, I'm not going to press it. I'm just going to sit it on top just to make sure that she does not get any type of creasing or anything under the eyes. And then I'm going to take a different powder, which is the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder, and I'm just going to lightly set and bake the other areas of her face. I did want to point out the fact that I do add a little bit of powder to the front portion of the brows. This is another tactic to help further blend or get that gradient effect when it comes to the brows, and also to prevent any shine or oil from popping up. I also went down the bridge of her nose with some of that powder. This is going to help whenever it's time to contour her nose. Now I'm going to go in with my MAC Mineralized Pressed Powder, and I'm just going to lightly brush this powder over the rest of her skin that I did not actually put the translucent powder, even over where I'm going to contour, because it's going to soften up that contour. Once you put that contour over a wet base, it's just going to be kind of muddy. So I even set that area. That way when we add our contouring powder, it's just a nice light contour, nothing that's too harsh or too muddy. This brush that I'm using is actually a Real Techniques brush. It is specifically used for contour. It is the perfect shape and size for my clients. I feel like whenever it's a smaller brush, you have more control. So I'm just going to apply that contour shade right underneath her cheekbones to deepen up the structure of her face, add some definition to her face. I'm also going to be taking that same contour shade, which is from the Ben Eye contour palette, and I'm just going to be using a smaller blending brush to lightly contour the bridge of her nose, just to slim her nose down a wee bit. I'm really not a nose contour type of girl, so I only use light amounts of contour shades on their nose. Now I'm going to go back in with that fluffy brush to dust away any leftover powder that was left on her face. And I'm just going to go ahead and smooth everything out using the foundation brush as well. I won't add anything to it. I'll just use whatever is left over on the foundation brush as well to pack anything that is harsh, any harsh lines, to smooth them out, blur them out, and ultimately set her face. Look at her. Correct. Yes, ma'am. So now I'm going to go in with that same contour brush, and I'm going to use the Juvia's Place Volume 2 palette, the blush palette, to add a little bit of blush to her cheeks. This is just going to add some color back to her face. I love a good blush, okay? Love, love, love a good blush. And you'll see me add it on, and then I'll kind of diffuse it with my foundation brush. So that's a good tip. Anytime you have too much of something on your face, go in with your foundation brush without adding anything additional, just to smooth or soften it up. Now I'm using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Dewy Setting Spray to set her. It's going to add a nice little glow and just melt her, okay? We giving very much skin, okay? Yes, ma'am. So now I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Master Chrome. This is a oldie but goodie, okay? I had to bring her back out because I hadn't used it in a while, but I love it for my nose contour. It just adds a nice light touch. And I'm also going to add that to the brow bone, which I don't think I will show in the video. And, okay, well, maybe I did. Maybe I did. But yes, ma'am. Moving right along. Now, we're going to go in the inner tear duct with some of the Juvia's Place Loose highlighter. This is just going to open the eyes up and give it a nice pop, a nice little pop of glow, okay? So we're going to go ahead and pop that in the inner tear duct, and then I believe I will come back once her lashes are on. Off camera, I did tightline her and add black liner to her waterline, just to give her more of a cat eye effect. I also blended out a little bit of pink underneath her lash line to add a little bit more color to the look. Now I'm going to go into the lips. I'm using the shade Espresso and Lip Liner by NYX to line the outer portions of her lip as well as the outer corners of her lips. And then in the center, you'll see me add a nude color, which is the Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipstick in the tone Naked. Perfect for nudes on any skin tone. Literally, you guys, it is the perfect color. At this point, this lip combo is a look in itself. You could leave it this way or you can add your preferred gloss, which I will. And I'm going to use a Lorac Pro lip gloss in the shade Southern Belle. It's more of a pinky gloss. And I did just want to add a little bit of that pink to her lips because I had the pink underneath her eyes. And it just fits well with her skin tone. So again, that color was Southern Belle and the Lorac Pro. But I will leave everything in the description box below. After I add Southern Belle to the lips, I will go in just to darken up that liner a little bit more, especially in the outer corners of her lips. And then I will add a little bit of clear gloss just for some additional shine. And that will be the completed look, you guys. I'm so happy that you guys made it to the very end of the video. Leave a comment down below to let me know if you guys have gotten any tips or anything that you learned from this video, and let me know what you guys want to see next. I definitely am excited to be back. Be on the lookout because your girl is coming full force, okay? All gas, no brakes. Bloop. Y'all, look at this smile. Like, she is so freaking gorgeous. Like, yes, cousin. Go, cousin. Go, cousin. Y'all, she looks so good. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe, okay? See y'all in the next video.